Hey guys, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on Deltarune, the new game by Toby Fox, and I'm gonna eat this yogurt while I do it. So, you're welcome. Okay, so I played Undertale. I loved Undertale. Changed my life. Not even an exaggeration. If you've ever played it, then you know. Unless you're like a heartless bastard or something, which, you know, I'm sure you're just covering up for your own insecurities or whatever, so. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of hit on what I think Deltarune's Dark World is, because obviously you can make an interpretation is that the Dark World is fake. This is how I see it going down, okay? So Kris and Susie basically go into the supply closet and then they hang out in there and they make an imaginary world, like, you know, like just make believe, and then they do the entire Dark World adventure, and then they just basically stay in the closet all day or all like into the afternoon, and then they, you know, leave at the end or whatever. I think this is pretty obvious for a bunch of reasons, or at least that it's a valid interpretation of the story. First of all, like, you know, when you guys come out of the Dark World at the very end, you know, there's obviously the playing cards on the floor, which coincide to the different shapes with all the different monsters that you meet. Like Lancer and his dad are obviously spades, you know, spades at least on their clothes and stuff. The Rudins, I think they're called, they're like diamond cutters and stuff, so they're diamonds. This is like, I actually read I saw it on a different video on YouTube with like Deltarune, like Easter eggs or something. I forget the name of the YouTuber who made it, but like, he had a nice voice. Anyway, he said like, the way you pronounce Rules Card's name is actually Rules Card, which I didn't know. I was calling him like, I don't know what I was pronouncing it as, but like, and you say it like that, it's like a pun. It's like Rules Card, like the Rules Card in the playing deck. So like, that's cool, right? And then the chess pieces, like the Great Board is like a chess board or whatever. And there's different characters that represent the chess pieces, the pawns, and so on. There's a stuffed animal in the room that's kind of like haphazard looking, if I remember. I think that's Seam or Sean, the shopkeeper. And so I think that, you know, like they're using different like things to imagine a land or whatever that they're playing through. And okay, so this is like, and this is also like the kind of more evidence that it's just kind of imaginary, is the fact that obviously if you beat the game once and then you start another save file, you can go right to bed instead of going to school in the morning, with like Toriel or whatever. Like she brings you to school and everything. You can skip all that by going back to bed and it'll take you right to the Dark World. Like everyone knows that. So it's just more evidence that like it's literally a dream in that version, so it's like not real. I love that. Okay. Another thing that, okay, so this is like my theory, okay? So we know like very little about Kris as the silent protagonist, you know, other than, you know, certain things like they're kind of goofy or whatever. And obviously it depends how you play them too, because you can choose to be like, you know, obviously you don't have like as many choices as Undertale, but you know, you can kind of choose to be like nice or mean or whatever, different choices throughout the game. And this is my theory, okay? I think Kris is a very like I don't know if I'd go as far as say depressed, but definitely a very troubled child, or teen or whatever. And I think most of this stems from the loss of their brother Azrael. Obviously he didn't die, but he went to college, and I think they really, really depended on their brother for support and friendship and like just like love and stuff. And so they really, really miss him, and I think it's really like fucking them up on the inside. So, and so I think that this imaginary world that Kris and Susie created is to deal with their emotional problems together, because they're both really troubled teens in this like bad place. Like Susie obviously has issues, you know, like literally when you first talk to her, she like says like everybody wants me to get expelled and stuff. So she has this like internalized like thing that like everyone's out to get her, and that's why she's so like aggressive and defensive and stuff. And so she's got issues, clearly, and Kris has got these issues of, you know, like Azrael being gone, and Azrael was like everything to them. So, yeah. And okay, so that's my theory, and then my evidence for that is, the fact that obviously, well, this is just a simple fact. Azriel and Kris share a room, obviously, and they were like, if you share a room with somebody, like you literally see them all the fucking time. Like it's just a little detail, but like literally, like if you share a room with somebody, they are in your life 100% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Or almost all the time. So, there's a gaming system you can find under the bed with, um, it's a video game console system with a normal controller and a knockoff controller, which I think is a very interesting detail. But so that's obviously like two controllers. Like Azriel and Kris probably played games together. You know what I'm saying? So and so those are just like the beginning details. So this is my, so leading up with going on that idea. So in the dark world, like the character, Rousey is how I'm gonna say it. I know people pronounce it differently, but Rousey I think is how I'm gonna say it. Rousey is met, and obviously Rousey is an anagram for Azriel. And at the end, it's revealed when he takes off his hat, he's like a goat, you know, and we can assume that Kris's brother Azriel is a goat, you know, like Toriel. And so basically, Rousey is the stand-in for Azriel, and yeah, Razel comes with you on the entire adventure, and is, you know, super nice and like supportive and sweet and stuff, and is with you, you know, basically, even when Susie like abandons you for Lancer and stuff. So I think that in this imaginary world, like Razel, like Azriel's there, and that's like Kris is using that to kind of cope and whatever. And also kind of a symbol for like obviously like Razel being Azriel is that like when they get to the end of the dark world and they seal the fountain and they have to go home, Razel can't come with them because Razel's not real and because Azriel's really at university. So it's just like another sign that like, you know, like Kris is having to deal with leaving Azriel behind, but like they don't want to because like Azriel's so important to them. It's like obviously they don't have to really like forget about Azriel forever. They're gonna see him again, but that kind of like sudden loss of someone who's always in your life and then suddenly they're not around as much, or you know they move far away or whatever, like it is like hard for people to deal with. And here's the thing, this is why I think more evidence for Kris being like very troubled or taking the Azriel going to university really really hard is that it's like a small detail. Like I literally overlooked it the first like 3 times I played it. Okay, I only played it once, but I watched other people play it and now I'm playing it again. But because they want to fight Javel. But anyway, I just think about Javel for a second. I was like, God damn it, though. That little thing. Okay. So when you first get into class, Alpha says, "Oh, Kris, we thought you weren't coming today." Like, I didn't even think about it, but like I was thinking about it and I was like, why would they think you weren't coming? Like, unless you literally like called in or told everyone you weren't going to be there, like that wouldn't make sense, and we have no evidence to suggest that. So, you know, those kids that don't show up a lot, or you know, they show up sporadically because, you know, they just kind of, you know, do it. And like I definitely think that could be the reason why. Like maybe Kris, like, oh my gosh, oh my god, I relate to Kris so much. But like, think about it. Like, your mother wakes you up to go to school, okay? And there's this other line I'm gonna bring up in a second of dialogue. So you're gonna be late. Like Toriel says, like, come get in the car. Like we can still make it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like recommended, or it's not recommended. It's like said that you're one of those kids that like sleeps in really late and you clearly don't have a lot of motivation to go. In fact, literally, if you beat the game, you can just go back to sleep. Like you literally ditch school because, or you don't ditch it, but I mean you ditched it. You slept through it basically, and I did that a lot when I was a junior. Just literally sleep. So it's like so definitely like, and you know, obviously a sign or one of the symptoms of having depression is like you sleep a lot and you feel tired all the time. So that could be kind of something that like, you know, instead of like facing reality that Azriel isn't here, like Kris would rather just sleep all day, you know what I'm saying? Which like, you know, it's so sad. Chrissy. Okay, but here's another thing. It's like really interesting. This is after you come out of the dark world and you walk home. You go in and out of the house a couple, I think it's just the first time actually. It's either the first time or you go in and out of your own house from the town to your house like a couple times or one time, I don't remember which. Toriel says something like, wow, you're being like really adventurous today, Kris. Like kind of commenting on the fact that that's unusual, and also saying like, you know, now that Azriel isn't here to like drag you up in the morning, like wake you up and drag you out of the house or drag you to school or something like that, like you're usually not so active. I'm paraphrasing. It's something along those lines. I can like insert a clip in like here if you want me to. But so that's implying that, you know, also like just emphasizing Chris's reliance on Azrael, because Azrael literally was waking them up every morning and like helping them get ready for school and stuff. Like obviously that's somebody you're really dependent on, and without them, like, you know, you kind of feel lost. You kind of feel like you're just, you know, you're kind of lost. I wrote some notes here. Some other evidence for this, I feel, is definitely when you are talking to people in town, like after you get out of the dark world, you have the chance to talk about Azrael like several times. In fact, I believe the closer you get to home, the more chances you have to talk about him. But maybe I just made that up. I don't know. But that's what it felt like to me. And definitely somebody who, you know, like when you're thinking about someone and missing them, like you want to talk about them a lot. And I even remember this one conversation with Noelle. It's like, I'm not sure exactly how it works with Noelle, because I know you go into the hospital and she's there with her father, and then she leaves, and then she's up kind of near your house, if that makes sense. Like, I don't really know exactly where it is, but it's like up on the map somewhere, and you can find her. It's like easy, just like, she's just not hiding, like, anyway. But I'm not sure if you have to go to the hospital first to get her up there, or if she's just there, it spawns naturally if you don't go in the hospital. But either way, you talk to her, and you can talk to her about a couple different things. And I remember one of the things you can talk to her about is Azrael. And I remember literally, like, obviously we don't know what Kris says. Like, we can only see Noelle's responses. But she looks, like, legit uncomfortable. Like, and she literally asked something like, "Are you okay?" Like, something like that. I'll put it in if I can find it. Like, legit, like, they're concerned for you. She's concerned for you. No, it's a whole different video. I don't wanna. Okay, so I'm trying. Oh yeah, so like legit, you maybe getting emotional while talking about Azrael, or just saying things that are like really vulnerable or stuff like that. Like maybe that made her uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. We obviously don't know, but we can speculate that whatever your reaction was to Azzy, it was it was kind of something that made her uncomfortable, and I imagine it was kind of an emotional display. So that's what I think. I think Kris and Susie are two troubled teens who like went into that supply closet, made up a fantasy world to kind of deal with their problems, and you know, they became friends throughout the experience, you know. And they bonded, and that's why Susie says at the end, you know, she's like, "Hey Kris, let's do this again tomorrow," or something like that. And Kris is, I imagine Kris is like, "Yeah," you know. Obviously we don't know what they say, but and obviously there's lots of other interpretations, like the dark world is actually real, you know, and it's just an alternate dimension, and it just happens to coincide with the stuff in the room. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in the game that I didn't get to, you know. Like, I like saw, I think, like a video on like the whole like lightness and darkness thing, and I thought that'd be so interesting if somebody were to break down, like, I don't know, the actual history of that war or something like that. It's not a war, is it? The separation or the banishment, or like whatever the dark world guys are trapped in there. Also, just to emphasize, like, that it's a made-up world by kids or teens or whatever. Like, Kris and Susie literally, like, it's like lighteners and darkeners, you know what I'm saying? Like, the heroes of hope and prophecy, and, you know, like, it's very, like, tropey, and, like, kids might make up that story, you know, and, like, the bad king, and, like, all that kind of stuff seems like stuff that, like, teens or kids could, like, make up while playing, like, a game of make-believe or whatever. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Deltarune. I think the dark world is made up, and I think that Kris is very troubled over the loss of their brother Azrael, because he went to university, and he's very like troubled because of that, and or they are, and they were really close to Azzy when he was here. And yeah, so that's it. All right, see you guys. Adios.